is KT Rolster never having missed a summer final since they debuted as an organization. SKT trying to make the first one ever from the wildcard match all the way to the grand final. Focusing on picks and bans. One thing to note, guys, it is dynamic side selection, but KT Rolster have the choice of sides in Game 1, Game 3, Game 5. Blue side won every game in their recent set, and they can ban away those blind pick mid laners a lot happier on the blue side. So that's why you see Cassiopeia and Lucian, the two most impressive performing champions from Faker recently, banned away on blue side. All
right, well, that's 2 at Faker. Were those 2 of your 4 that you were predicting, Bob Smithy? All right, well, we're on points so far. Let's see if we get a third. Go ahead and cut out the majority of those, or if they'll turn their attention to something else.
Those 2 are also picks that you don't see a lot from Pawn. He can play both, but he's played a single game on the Lucian, a victory, and a single loss on the Cassiopeia, so not high priority. The Gragas ban is interesting because Peanut in playoffs so far has played 5 games, and 4 of them were on Gragas, 1 game on Zac. Gragas' priority has been lower for the other playoff teams, which surprises me, given how powerful he is in the current meta. They're not willing to first pick him for Score, who may be the best Gragas player in the jungle of all time. That leaves Zac open, though, because Rakan is banned away. The Galio is forced. Elise is predictable. And Score moving past Zac would be a surprise.
I mean, this is also opening a bit up here for the side of SKT because the Caitlyn and the Kalista are both available.
Happening more commonly recently, and teams, interestingly, are prioritizing the Kalista higher because it empowers picks like this that you'll see from Wolf, almost certainly the Alistair. Ever since he moved away from the range support,
both available.
We're happening more commonly recently, and teams, interestingly, are prioritizing playing Alistair, and if he has to play a range support, it's ended up being, more often than not, the Kennen, just for a bit more lane performance, but still initiation. Speaking of, we're happening more commonly recently between Alistair and Maokai.
Well, they're going to take these so far, so KT will get their pick of ADCs, leaving either the Caitlyn or Kalista available for Bang, or maybe he just forgoes it and goes for the Tristan.
It could be Kalista Thresh. Could actually be the Thresh coming out from Mata that very frequently is banned against him in the laning phase. Certainly is the most powerful support with so many different playmaking options. The Kalista will come through, but the reason you prioritize Kalista over the Caitlyn is largely to empower your support, so it has to be the Thresh.
All right, there you go. Get the duo locked in.
And SKT, if they want Caitlyn, they have to take it here, or it will be banned in the next round. Would be the most likely, but Tristana is the laning matchup into the Kalista, and Bang has been on a tear on Tristana recently, so I believe this may be our first game without Caitlyn picked or banned. Since very much the weeks, the week 1, week 2 of the season, we have seen Caitlyn perma-picked or banned. So very interesting, but a sign of the times, and Tristana does have that pushing power.
Yeah, she was very much up there, along the likes of, Zac and Elise, who came in at a 100% 99% pick ban.
First ban is Trundle, so suggesting that it might be Maokai top from Untara, and taking away a champion that auto wins does allow the flex to be a bit more realistic, because if you leave Trundle up, you're going to have a bad time. Smeb largely has been having to face Huni when these two teams face off because they prefer to run Huni, who has much more micro skill, you would say, over Untara. When it comes to laning power, Smeb, Huni, and Khan are the top 3 in the league, but Untara has been more reliable. It's the first time they're opening with Untara against Smeb, so they don't want to allow Smeb an advantageous matchup, force it to be just trading teleports or playing tank into tank, then Untara will be a lot more comfortable.
Well, J4 going to be the follow-up ban here. That out of the hands of Smeb in the top lane. See where they want to go. Untara is still very heavily favors something like the Rumble. Could see that picked up for him if that Maokai is going to be in the jungle with Peanut.
Both of them, of course, are big Rumble players. Rumble could certainly be considered. Don't have to confirm where the Maokai is going just yet, though. The side of SKT, and Orianna is banned away. So that's going to be everything barring the Fizz that I underlined in terms of important Faker picks. They're going to choose a champion like the Fizz. It'll probably be a last pick, you'd imagine, so that would require Untara to confirm whether it will be Maokai top or not.
Well, it seems like they might be moving towards that Maokai in the jungle as we hover over the Gnar, and they will just go ahead and lock this one in for Untara. So blind pick Gnar into the top lane. Let's see what Smeb's got ready to go. I
mean, how saucy do we get? Do we see the very famous Yasuo pick that So1 was able to win with the Jin Air?
Nope, it's just going to be Shen.
Just going to be Shen pretty instantly. Meb is an excellent Shen player. When some of these picks like Renekton aren't favored, he will jump on Shen. 6-1 on the season. And first time we see the LeBlanc back for the side of KT Rolster. So LeBlanc blind pick for Pawn. If you remember back to the grand final of Springer Killers, you and I cast Pawn basically having to face every sort of lane counter from SKT. It was the Karma mid, Lulu way out of meta in the mid lane as an answer. Well, we just see Faker return to one of those two and be able to just nullify in the lane. Will he try to find a carry? Seems like it's going to be a carry matchup.
All right, haven't locked it in quite yet, so I won't get excited. Now I can get excited. All right, Kassadin. No Karma, no Lulu. We're just going straight over to damage. Kassadin locked in for Faker.
The meta changes, and so we get a carry matchup in mid. Kassadin has always done well against LeBlanc because of the magic damage shield. Q-Max, very low base health on the LeBlanc with the death via touch to get decent trades in, but you also get the side benefit of the larger and larger magic damage shield. But it does mean that lane pressure in the mid lane for SKT will not be there like there has been so many times with the Lucian in playoffs, with the Cassiopeia largely as well. So different type of draft with SKT, where Peanut will have to make moves around mid lane to relieve pressure of Faker early.
Well, maybe Peanut's been in touch with Bengi as of late, knows what he needs to do, but this is one that we have to focus on. It's going to be that top lane. The Gnar blind picked in. Smed picks up the Shen as the counter. See how he's going to handle this matchup, because the Gnar, if he gets ahead, is going to be absolutely oppressive.
It's kind of fun that in top lane and mid lane you kind of have similar stories, but on different sides, where getting a Gnar behind makes Shen have basically a free lane. If you get a couple of 6-foot ganks onto the Gnar, he falls behind, doesn't his item timings, and then Shen can have a free lane. Kassadin getting ahead is basically the same sort of time bomb on the side of SKT. So the junglers have different lanes they may want to prioritize.
All right, well, let's go ahead, get right down to it, dive into this game. It's game one in a best of 5, a telecom war in the semifinal. Winner goes on to play against Longshu. Let's do it. KT Rolster versus SKT. Audience was a very slow trickle at the beginning of the hour when we opened the doors, but now the seats have been packed in pretty much.
These are the days you live for as a caster, Achilles.
When you're not sure which team that you
of watching KT versus SKT. The fans pretty divided, as you say. Not full yet, but it will fill up. Sold out in under a minute here at the Sangam E Stadium. OGN bringing you the semi-final, and Pawn bringing you a longsword start. He's going to be working his way towards the Gunblade, pretty standard as a first item, but he just wants to auto-attack down Faker because the magic damage shield doesn't help you against the extra AD from the longsword.
Solo queue is ruined again.
You say as Wolf starts the cowbell.
Oh yeah, got to get it going. You just hear it just fade out into the distance. Oh. No cheeky invades coming through from either side, just going to be a standard start as everyone fans out across the map. Limited vision here for either team. Go ahead and kick things off.
You notice the score is starting top side though, so maybe looking for a quick gank bot lane or to potentially invade onto the enemy red. Maokai very healthy in the jungle, but not the strongest skirmisher, and LeBlanc should have the pushing advantage. Speaking of pushing, we're already seeing KT invade onto the blue side. This is definitely a scenario to take away the enemy red.
Working their way through there, but the smite comes through, so Peanut will go ahead and secure the blue buff for himself.
Let's see how much AD Pawn is starting with, but the longsword obviously adding 10 to that number.
I can tell you that Faker has 61.
Thank you for that, Kilios. Reading comprehension check. Got to get everything working at the start of game one, so appreciate it.
It's good. I've hit my optimal settings. I can read properly.
As long as you can read the team fights, everything's fine. That's all I'm asking for.
That's what I'm here for, baby.
Yeah.
Cap. All right, some exchanging going on in the bottom lane. Mata just looking for a little bit of harass as Deft fiercely pushes up to the end of the wave.
Pushing specifically in mid lane is going to be fine. Bot lane SKT should eventually be able to get an advantage. But level 1, Alistair is famously very, very weak when it comes to any sort of trade. Needs to have the all-in option. Thought that they would just engineer a red side invade for the side of KT, but it seems they just want to slow down the speed of Peanut and ensure that Score can go for a pretty greedy clear. Everything sort of the Gromp is being cleared, so he's going for the full clear here is Score.
Trying to scoop up as much as possible before we see those long-range ganks come through.
82 AD at level 3.
Seems good. Though he is still the one taking the brunt of the damage.
That's the problem when you go Death by a Touch cast, and I mentioned it in Champ Select, you're so comfortable to just happily Q, and then the Death by a Touch proc, and Blanc doesn't want to take much regen. Just the refillable potion's not going to be ideal. That's why you see very one-sided in terms of the trades so far, apart from both of the potion charges being used by Faker.
Well, Ward in the river here for SK Telecom. Ready to spot out score. He'll come over the wall.
I don't believe he's spotted. He is now as he goes to kill the Scuttle Crab.
Nothing too consequential, though, as Peanut's on the other side of the map doing just that. Control Ward will go ahead and reveal that one there as the hook comes through, but it's not in onto Bang. Still takes a decent bit of damage from the Ren, but overall will remain safe. Score's not clearing this. Wants to try to play the mind games here with Faker. Allow for him to push up. Slingshot being channeled. Does he see the opening? Will be bouncing through. Doesn't have the knock-up, and he's going to go ahead and miss the Q.
The stretching strike means that he's not able to get any sort of CC onto Faker pre-6, and post-6 things get a whole lot safer the side of Faker. I'm mostly actually thinking about how the game will go as we start to get on to the mid to late game potion, because it's double teleport, of course, from both sides. Given that Faker should continue to have a very happy time in side lanes against the LeBlanc, and it's not like Shen is ever going to have kill pressure on a Kassadin. Feels like SKT's side lane options just get better as the game goes on, unless you can stop the snowball or even deny farm. That's why you're seeing multiple different members rotate around the mid lane. SKT is so happy with the late game insurance from both Kassadin and Tristana scaling. They're happy to play a longer game.
It's going to be that much more difficult for Depth to try to keep himself safe when you have a Kassadin just roof walking onto your face. Not to mention the Tristana that can be leaping into the back line as well. They should find her to be a bit unprotected.
Last time we saw Kassadin, it was a loss. Samsung Galaxy taking down SK Telecom as they went one by one trying to kill Ruler's Varus on the day, and you can go lifesteal pretty happily. Double lifesteal on the Kalista. Nice interrupt of the E there. It's okay.
He's still on the spot of bother though. Flashes over to the other side. Go ahead and keep himself safe. Flashed up to the Maokai, so a little bit less gank pressure available there for Peanut.
Peanut probably just going to be on the back foot, but if that means they're able to actually get a successful gank onto Faker, it'll be worth it, or even onto the Gnar to allow Shen a more happy time. Credit to Smeb being able to keep up and farm just fine in the Gnar matchup, but it gets much worse with items. Frozen Mallet Rush has become a lot more common on Gnars outside of the rushed Black Cleaver, because at least you have the health total to help you out in Mega Gnar form in team fights.
See which way Untara wants to go so far. Neither of the top laners have gone back to base. In the meantime, speaking of CS, Bang is sitting pretty severely behind Depth at the moment. We're just 6 minutes into this one, already 13 CS behind.
Just surrendering lane pressure to Kalista Thresh, double range. Alistair, if he goes all in, can easily be focused down early, so they understand that while Alistair can play all in and pressure early against some lanes, Kalista Thresh does not qualify as some lanes. It's one of the most powerful 2v2s. We very frequently see one of the two, and sometimes two of the two, banned away in pick and ban. So good to show respect in the mid lane, and that's the only small advantage that leads to the 500 gold. It is largely that Smeb is being able to stay so competitive in CS on the top side.
You're taking the wrong side of that trade. Goes low, has to chug up on that refillable potion. So will be without charges, and seems like he's just going to have to make another very swift back. So far, just has that blasting one in addition to the Dark Seal. So we'll see if he's able to get anything else. Seems like it might just be the boots. And all right, he's got a Sapphire as a crystal as well.
Just worry for KT Rolster if the game goes long. I'm thinking of what the game looks like in a 1-3-1. We know that LeBlanc will be pressured out by the Kassadin in the 1v1 as Horn picks up the blue buff. We know that Gnar is so happy just taking down turrets in the face of a Shen. So we think about the 3, and the 3 is going to be Tristana putting down the Satchel, taking down turrets, and you have the Maokai ultimate and Alistair both as disengage tools. So I feel like in a 1-3-1, late game SKT has basically the perfect setup. All about snowballing early to try to take them down as Untara is going for a bit of a damage trade onto Smeb.
Yep, still haven't seen items come through from these guys. They've just been sticking around in the top lane thus far. Maybe just looking for one more wave to show into that tower.
Tao yếu nhưng anh em tao đông.
Xem.com bọn mình tìm hiểu tiêu điểm tướng Xuân làm lại nguyên soái
The Titanic Hydra to have pushing ability on the Shen, remove the one famous weakness of him. Now that Sunfire is not commonly seen. It's not level 6 yet, but just a similar sort of damage trade that we saw from Untara on the top side.
Yeah, does go quite low. Didn't see the Fates call coming through from depth, so weren't looking for the all-in potential there. Smeb finally starting to go on the back, as Untara just goes ahead and looks to deny a couple of minions into that turret.
Pawn's gone full mad scientist, just rushing the bilge water first, doesn't need any ability power, wants to just lifesteal up.
Imagine he just Blink buys a Black Cleaver instead.
Oh no, Blade the Ruin King, come on, mate.
Or that's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah.
I phased out on that one, yeah. Blade of the Ruin King.
KT,
absolutely insane.
We outlined how the late game doesn't necessarily suit them, barring some excellent team fights, and that's why just taking down Drakes would be a nice start.
They will go ahead and have that one. Fates call's been drawn out as they throw Mata forward, looking for Peanut. Takes a nice little sidestep. Wolf now does have level 6. Leap in comes through from Bang. They're looking for Mata. That's going to be the Stand United coming down from the Shan. As Wolf does go low. Still is in the fight at the moment, and Pawn gets locked down, but the Dark Passage will go ahead and take him out. Tara not able to arrive in time and didn't have anything built up in the Rage Bar, so wouldn't have contributed too much other than a slow. So no first blood, but Ocean Drake over to KT.
Yeah. KT pick up the objective. They're set up to take when they have the pressure lanes and also the Callista for the Ren secure. KT already used teleport to get back to top, so didn't have it to get back into lane, and that was, of course, the Stand United used. Ends up being not too much to talk about, but a preview of future fights. Faker's on the roam. They know that Smeb has flash up, so low percentage chance of a gank coming off.
And we'll just go ahead and peel back away from that one. Into the lane where Pawn is going to have this wave shoving through. This is scoop up this wave to try to remain competitive in the S because he has fallen behind just a slight little bit.
Pawn had those couple of games where he's playing the LeBlanc. Mentioned he's undefeated on the season. The sort of pick where in the last big games, you know, against the other contenders, I always had LeBlanc underlined, but they didn't go towards it, and actually it was pretty frequently banned against KT. LeBlanc is a much bigger pick in other regions than it is in the LCK. Definitely not any LCS fans know all about this. But in Korea, it's largely been overlooked for the safer wave clear. No Galio available, of course, banned away against Pawn. It's a pick that has lane pressure against a lot of lanes, but Kassadin is one of the few that outscales pretty heavily another teleport mid lane user like the LeBlanc in basically every part of the game, and even has a safe laning phase. Nice lane ward does spot score coming in. But the Kassadin does answer pretty safely for the entirety of the game.
Charge slingshot, but doesn't find the opening. Pawn didn't have an angle to go ahead and throw down the chain. In the meantime, Peanut is waiting in the wings. They know where he's at. They see the blasting cone get used. So he's pretty deep into the jungle, and they're looking for a pinch, but Mata is already on the roam to ensure his safety.
The adjustment you're seeing in Peanut's play is something that I think might be lost on casual fans, because Peanut started off this season famously with a negative win rate on SKT, even when they were doing well. Before Rift Rivals, he was not the preferred jungler. We saw a lot more of Blank in the earlier parts of the season. And him being able to play comfortably on Cinderhawk champions is the new thing, Achilles. He looked great on Zac last time they faced KT Rolster in Game 3, pulling off some excellent ganks. He's happy to stand back as a Maokai, give up camps, give up pressure, understands the long game, and Cinderhawk junglers aren't about the early skirmishes like a little piece. They're much more about looking at the long game. So Peanut being able to alter his mindset, take a back seat, instead of having to be the primary carry, which certainly on a team with Faker is a very important thing to be able to do, is an adaptation that we've seen the last month and a half that shows another side to Peanut's already potent game.
And somehow he's been able to get the Zac twice now versus KT in the Telecom War, and then versus Samsung, who had, albeit one of the strangest drafting strategies that I've ever seen, giving up the Zac and the Caitlyn simultaneously.
Picks are being left open more and more. That's kind of been the thing. You're correct in that they were able to first pick away the Zac and get the Caitlyn as a bonus in that series.
Got yet again ready to go, but Pawn still doesn't have an angle.
Teams have shown different priorities. The must bans do adjust, and the mid lane bans onto things like Cassiopeia have become a lot more common. And it just removes the flexibility of being able to ban the same red side champions every game like we saw for such a long time. The Callista, Caitlyn, Zac is much less common as red side bans and being forced on the blue side more because people didn't practice a lot of those champions when they weren't available. The Zac especially. But Score, this guy who we call a pathing jungler, who's always rewarded for his intelligence and his adaptations, for him to have Zac, who has so many different options in team fights for initiation, is a different kind of quandary for SKT to deal with.
Well, for now, been slow and steady, some skirmishing here and there, but no real avenues of approach for Score. So even with that incredible range, the Elastic Slingshot has not been able to get into the mid lane on top of Faker. Mata going for the seal, doesn't quite have it. It was very close, but Faker able to go ahead and take that one away with the Force Pulse.
Does feel a bit like that window's gone. Achilles, the ganking the mid lane plan. He's got the Rod of Ages, so he has early health. His flash has been up the entire game. Riftwalk is available. I feel like maybe that time has passed, and when it comes to lanes to gank, SKT have double disengage in the bot side. And speaking of the bot side, just is actually joining them and then try and get Brick in top.
Looking for it, they should have it right here. Go ahead and pop that tower, and that's going to be SKT pushing themselves into the lead, albeit very slightly, just going to be 500 up at the moment. But this is what SKT has desperately needed to avoid. Now they're going to look to transition this into a Rift Herald, which very likely another turret going over that Smeb. So up there. Shadow Dash. Will not be able to
say that, but we see LeBlanc walking up. Callista's trying to group. Takes a long time to kill Rift Herald this early. His score finds Faker.
Wide,